First of all, welcome, team, back. Another weekly webinar over here where we're going to break down the week ending 8/16/2024, right? It was definitely a tough week. Yeah, dude, your boy got hit with the COVID. It really wasn't all that everyone talks. Like, I don't know, maybe I just like didn't get it that bad, or maybe I just have God's favor. Whatever it is, like, yeah, dude, it was like no,
That's what it is.
yeah, bro, it was just like no energy, like, the cough, like little headache, right? Like super dizzy. And then, like, I just woke up one morning and I'm like, nah, bro, we ain't doing this today. What was it? Thursday. Wednesday, I was really bad. But Thursday, I woke up at like 3 a.m. after like a full day of sleeping. I'm like, let's fucking go run. And I just went for a run. And then I was like, yeah, we're done with this, right? So, like, and the mind is so...
Trick your body into thinking that you're done with it.
Bro, your mind is so powerful. Like, it's crazy. My brother was in the hospital last night. He just couldn't stop throwing up. And once me and my older brother Mark got there, I'm the youngest. Chris, the sick one, he's in the middle. My older brother Mark. Once me and Mark got there, he just started getting better. Like, it's so crazy how our mind reacts to different scenarios, and especially people we love, like when we're around them, like there's an energy there, there's a spirit. It's just so wild how your brain works and adapts to all these scenarios. He's doing good though, thank God. It was really scary. He just couldn't stop throwing up, dude. He just kept throwing up, and then he started throwing up blood. It was getting wild. Like, he thought he was gonna die.
Worrying.
Yeah, dude, he thought he was gonna die, and it's like, not to obviously get off too much track here, but like the world's gonna throw shit at us constantly, right? And that's what I love about trading is, like, not only is it this environment where we can make just endless amounts of money and be creative, right? Which is literally what we've been designed to do by God, is to be creative. So, like, you get the market, but then, like, it helps you start to approach life in like a more adaptive way, where things are gonna happen, dude. Things are gonna happen. It's like, you're gonna be in a losing trade. You're gonna get in a loser. It just is what it is, right? Like, but your risk, are you managing it, right? Like, I don't know. It's funny. Like, ever since I became a trader that manages risk well, I can now, like, when other things happen in life, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be all right. Like I can remain more objective. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
like, it's not the end of the world anymore, where other things used to happen, and so. But yeah, it's definitely a tough week. I didn't trade that much, but we're gonna end up going over it. All right, let me see here. All right, so yeah, let's just dive right into it. So Monday morning, markets kind of look like this. Let me see. Here's Monday. We had PDH right here. That played a big role. And then I had end of day right here. Okay. And then
This day was just strange.
Yeah, it was. So the market looked like this, right? And in pre-market, the way I approached this day, I was like, okay, we have 537 right here. It's a very important level. I was like, this was going to be my bullish target if we could get a breakout. And then I was using that 1 hour 50, which I use constantly, to, like, help me understand the context, right? That buyers were here this day. I was like, if price can rip into 537, then and we get some selling, cool. I'll debate what that'll look like when that happens. But until then, I was like, I don't want to psych myself out of longs. I want to play the green cloud on the 1 hour, and I want to play with who's in control, especially that we were holding above 531, right? So 531 was a pretty important level that we ended above on Friday, right? So anything below 531, I was very bearish, right? So if price came down below this level here, I was then super bearish, and I was going to start looking for puts down to 52822, right? So if we could hold 53179, I was really bullish. And then going into the day, You see here. Okay. So yeah, you can see. So this right here was end of day. This was that level right there. We got that real quick sell off into this 531 level, right? So it was literally doing, you know, pretty much. It was just ripping down to this 531 level. It happened very fast, right? Like very quick sell off. And you can see we're getting extended from the cloud here, and then buyers started to show up. And in my mind, Darren, because you took a trade like this the other day where you just longed right here, right? And in my mind, I was like, dude, I should fucking long this. I was like, it's literally abiding to my pre-market plan perfectly, right? And that's something I kind of want to talk about real quick, right? Like, you know, because my main philosophy in trading is identify market conditions and adapt to them, right? Like that's my main approach every day, right? And there's a lot of things here, right? Where we have a red cloud, you know, it's selling off very quickly, but on the overall market context on that 1 hour, this is lining up with my bullish scenario perfectly. Right? So, Darren, I'm going to ask you, at what point do I go, yeah, okay, this cloud's red, if there is a point, and, like, where do I get it? Like, what would your thought process be on an entry right here? Because you could see this ended up being it would have been a perfect long targeting open print, targeting PDH, right? So, I just kind of want your thoughts on that.
I mean, if you've identified like a perfect zone from the previous day, that like it's the main zone that you're looking for a bounce, and you're waiting
literally
for
right
a bounce.
there.
But like I don't know, how are you pulling that from the previous day?
Let me show.
How are you pulling that from?
It's the previous day, right? So it was this guy right here. Bam.
Oh yeah, I mean.
So.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was lining up with the 50 perfectly on the 1 hour, right? So.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it all comes down to risk, right? Like because in this scenario, so just so like everyone watching or a part of this knows, right? Like the main reason I quote wouldn't want to long right here is because it's kind of hard to manage risk, right? Like if you're gonna long this, at what point do you know it's no longer bearish, right? And there's obviously because I ended up longing it right here, and then I took another long right here, right when we popped above end of day, right? So those were my two trades, but this is something I want to start playing around with a little bit, right? Because as we trade the pit numbers or previous critical levels, right? And just because clouds are red doesn't necessarily mean you can't go long, but there's a fine line there, right? And I think you need to get to the point as a trader where you're confident in your overall story, you're not putting a bunch of risk on the line, right? And I don't know, it's one of the things that you need to feel comfortable with, and go from there. But yeah, I remember you did take a trade like that a couple weeks ago, and
I did, and I hadn't taken one, like that for I'm gonna say months before, and I haven't taken one since. I don't know. I think it really comes down to, like you said, the confidence in the levels that you're watching, and then are you able to have extremely, extremely tight risk?
Yeah.
And if you can do those two things,
boom.
I mean, then you're just a straight opportunity at that point.
Yeah. Good answer. I like that. It was, and then and it was funny because I was like a lot of we were talking about it yesterday on the live. A lot of my entries, like this trade right here, right? I long this on this candle and caught a really nice move to the highs, right? And I want to talk about this trade, right? Because not this one. This was a good trade too, but this one really sticks out to me because we rip up into previous day high, and buyers can't hold it, right? Buyers can't hold it, and selling comes in, boom, right? Massive red candle, which leads to the snapback, right? There's snapback once you get extended from the moving averages. There's a very high probability, right? Not guarantee, but there's a very high chance when there is this gap right here between price and the 9 DEMA, that it's gonna snap back, right? So this being end of day, this purple line right here, we drop below it, we consolidate. Now I noticed this little pocket, right? And this pocket right here tells me the snapback is very probable. All right, so I'm going, okay, if I identify any weakness here, I'm long, targeting PDH, right? So that's my trade plan. Now, for me to do this, I need to see sellers lose, right? And I want to show you guys what that looked like on the 2-minute real quick. This trade felt so good. It was such a good, like, okay, here we go. Wow, my chart looks weird without the EMA cloud on it. But, okay.
I know.
Whoa.
I noticed that a couple of days ago, too.
Whoa. Okay, so notice here, 2-minute. Massive sell-off. Consolidate under end of day, right? This purple line in the middle, that's end of day. I'm going, okay, this is typically a short play, right? So in my mind, I'm going, if I'm short, what do I not want to see? This. Bing. Once this candle wipes out the top, once this candle wipes out the top of this candle, I'm long. My stop is right here, right below this candle, right? So this looks bearish. This, completely different story, right? And like, that's one thing I want, like, this is one way that I find some of the best trades, right? Like, this would be another really good example. Once we pop the top of this guy, that would have been a great spot for my long on the trade we were talking about earlier, right? And like, it's something I want all traders to understand, because it's helped me so well, is that when you're playing off a critical level, right, which the levels that have all the volume, right, yeah, there's a massive seller that came into the market, right, but that seller needs to have momentum for price to continue to go down, right? So we got the gap with the in between moving averages, right? We're consolidating under the level, and then boom. This right here, in my mind, invalidates the short play. I go long, capture a really nice move up here to PDH. I felt really good about this trade. It was like very real present moment. I scaled out most of my position here and ended up stomping out right here, right? So, but I felt like I executed it very well, and I felt like it was a good, like, I seen the opportunity and I acted on it.
What I like about that play, too, is you were using the supply zone that was created in that huge sell-off as a price magnet.
Yes.
For taking profits.
Yeah.
That's huge.
This little fair value gap here, too. Yeah. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. Magnet.
Yep.
In balance. Yeah, it was like...
Yeah, I like that right there.
It was one of those moves, too. I think these tend to be our best moves. Where you're just like... You know, you can't predict this. You have no idea, right? And I used my old, like, the old Josh used to short this because it was below end of day and it was a break and retest, right? It was break, it was retesting the critical level. I used to short this, and this would happen to me. Boop, and I'd get stomped out. So now I'm going, okay, where are the old Joshes stomping out? That's my entry. Boom. Stop below the candle before it. And in these conditions, guys, I highly recommend that too. If you're having issues finding places to stop out, use your previous candles, right? Your previous, but use it smartly, right? Don't just pick one and that's only 12% drawdown, you get stomped out, right? Like use it smartly. Ask yourself where, like this one was perfect, because I knew if sellers were in control, they really wouldn't want or let price get above this level. Right? That's how I try to look at it. Right? Like, so, yeah, using previous levels does work very well. for me at least, when identifying places to stop out. But the rest of the price action that day was just trash.
I don't know what was going on this day. I mean, maybe it's a typical Monday. I took that long that you had there earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And then got stopped out on that big red candle. Luckily, I had a hard stop in, so I still had a pretty good winner.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to worry about exiting my position, which, I mean, this is why you got to use hard stops.
Yeah.
But still, this day was, I mean, once I seen that candle, I was like, all right, this is not for me.
I'm done.
Like, I mean, we had gone down, up, down.
Up.
All right. At that point, if it's on a Monday morning, like I had a busy week, so I wasn't about to sit around and wait on the charts for a setup. So I was done at that point.
And that right there is, I love it, because to think there was a time where we couldn't not look at the charts. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I used to dream, Darren. I used to dream about being the trader that could just not trade for a day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Or think about it. You didn't have to come back and avenge that red candle. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have to, outsmart the market because it got you on that. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, nah, dude, I'm done.
Nope.
I'm done.
Just wait for the next day.
I'm done with this shit. On to the next.
Because imagine if you scale up. Imagine your future self scaled up on this position.
Yep.
And that one position you made 12K. You made 12K on that position.
Yeah.
Why would you be like, oh, I was up, 50K and now I want to come back? Like,
yeah. Right.
Think about your future self just making bank on these base hits, 19% trades.
Yeah.
And then ask yourself, why would you come scrambling back to the market and ask for more? Crazy.
Yeah. That's that's fucking an amazing way to look at it, right? Like today it's $12. A year from now it's 12K. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, same behavior. Yeah. So that was Monday. Tuesday. I want to go over once again how the pre-market plan in Tuesday, right? Like, so Tuesday was a funny day. I really want everyone to notice this, because this is a prime example of what happens when bearish market structure gets invalidated. Okay? This right here, you learn to see this and you learn to act on this properly, your edge will outshine any edge, because it's the best way to understand who's in control of the market. Right? Like, look at this bearish break and retest here. It's a very simple chart pattern to understand. You have 53706, right? It's support here, and it's now been broken below, and now it's going to be tested as resistance. So there's two scenarios that can happen here. First scenario, which is, that more probable, I guess you could say, is that sellers are going to defend this and price is going to sell off, right? We don't know how far, but this is a bearish chart pattern, right? So keeping it very simple, sellers should defend this. But if they don't defend it, right, leads us to scenario 2, price has a very high chance of ripping to the next market imbalance, which is probably this level here, or my bad, 540. Right, so that was my pre-market plan. That's how I do every pre-market plan, pretty much. So I identify market structure, and then it's if-then, right? If this happens, I'm bearish. If this happens, I'm bullish. My bad. Okay, here we go. So look at how price reacts to this level, dude. So price rallies in the morning, rips up, comes down, and starts to play around with this level, right? Notice here, right, how once buyers took this level, there was no going back. I mean, look at this. It was insane. It was just a solid rip up, right? So basically, I want everybody just to really understand, when a bearish chart pattern doesn't hold, or a bullish one, it's very high probability that you're going to get a solid rally to the opposing direction. Did you trade this day, Darren? Did you make any trades?
Yeah, yeah. I took a short play earlier in the day after we rejected that little zone, and then I stopped out very quickly, and then I waited until we had a small break and retest off of that high of
High
day
of
level,
day.
which was
Look at that.
538.44.
Yeah.
And that's when I got in a
Long.
long. And the mistake I made on this day was I initially went short with 6 contracts, and I stopped out for a loss. And then when I went long again, I just really didn't want to have 2 losses in a day, so I entered with 3 contracts.
Yeah.
And price just went absolutely ballistic. But the thing is, I caught a massive move here. I got out. I exited the position, like an hour before the market closed. But the thing is, I only just made back my profits from the loss earlier in the day, which is totally fucking backwards because your winning trades should outweigh your losses by like 3 times, especially this type of a winning trade.
Yeah.
And the mistake I made on this day, it was a beautiful execution. I got in at the right time. I got out at the right time. The problem was I scaled down. And maybe it's not a problem. I don't know what you think about this, but I scaled down, and this win should have easily. I mean, it did account for my loss, but not enough.
Oh, bro, dude, you just brought up something so fucking important. I remember, like, that right there, bro, is so important, bro, and not enough traders talk about this, bro. I'm so happy you brought this up. Position size, right? I remember we talked about this a long time ago too. It's a really good refresher. I appreciate this. Position size is so fucking important in terms of consistency. The game we're playing, position size it could be almost just as important as your strategy, right? Because you got to think about it. We have an equation, right? An equation, a math problem, whatever you want to call it. 1 + 1 = 2. That's an equation. It's like a principle, right? It's like you have your strategy, right? Your win ratio, right? Which is your strategy. And then you have your position size. And then you have your risk reward, right? That equals consistent profitability, right? And if any of those change, right, then our ending result changes. And this is a prime example of, how just altering the littlest thing as far as contract. And I'm not saying don't do it, right? I'm not necessarily saying don't do that. Sizing down is smart. Think about it. You did protect yourself from further risk in a way, but you also handicapped yourself to further gain, right? So I guess my opinion on it is, just remain aware that if and when we do size down, we're also we're protecting ourselves from risk, but we're also protecting ourselves from future gain. What's really good is that you executed properly though, and didn't you let this trade go all the way until this thing got you, didn't you?
Yeah, I was really, really happy with how I let my profits run on this one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I needed to. I told myself that, I realized what I had done in the moment, and so I said, okay, the best thing I can do right now is just to obey my strategy extremely strictly, and then just wait and see what happens. And I told myself, like, if this becomes a loss, I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah. And that's something that not enough traders talk about, Debo, and is that position size, bro. It's so important. That's one of the main reasons when I switched trading to SPX, I kept it at 1 con every trade. And that's when I got super specific with how much money I was losing every trade. And I found so much, that's where all my consistency came from at that point, was really controlling all the variables that go into trading, right? Like every it's like blackjack, right? Think about it. We can't control the outcome. So if we're playing blackjack, in one hand we bet $1, in the next hand we bet $100, right? Like it completely changes the odds, right? So it's a really good awareness moment right there, bro. That's big. That's really big.
Yeah, I wrote
Happens
that
to all
straight
of
down
us.
in my journal, and you know, I remember that for the rest of the week.
Yeah. And like I said, dude, it's not necessarily, right? Like, oh, don't ever size down, right? Dude, lately I've been sizing down like crazy because of market conditions. But it's like we just got to remember, okay, yeah, we limit ourselves to risk, but we also limit ourselves to gain. I didn't make any.
Just think about what it's gonna do when you scale down.
Yeah.
And realize that it could affect, you know, your equation exactly like you're
Yeah.
saying. Like it has real implications
Yeah.
of, you know, either making you profitable or not if you vary your position size just based on, you know, how you're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And your equation is your consistency, not your win rate, not your equation is what makes you profitable. So, yeah. The next day, that was the day I was really sick, so I didn't get. Oh wait, my bad. No, I was okay. Thursday, Wednesday. Yeah, no, Tuesday was the day I was sick. Yeah, okay. All right, so Wednesday, right here. Wednesday was a really good day. I was really proud of my execution this day. Let's talk about it. Okay, so price. All right, so first thing I want to talk about is this 54323 level, right? You guys already seen where I got that. I'll whip it from the 1 hour one more time. Okay, so what is that? 543 right here. So notice here, and I want everyone to notice. Notice how I pull from previous end of days. It's very important. Very important. When I'm finding targets, I pull from previous end of days, right? That's where I got this line, 54309, right? These levels, old end of days, they're price magnets, right? So, right? So going into the next day, that played a very important role. Is that your mic, Diva? Whose mic is that? Let me see. Okay. All right.
It might be mine.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right, so the next trade I want to talk about is right here. What is that? Okay, so notice how price rips right into 54309. I mean, look at that, dude. It's disgusting. It's disgusting how price reacts to these levels, right? So I had PDH right there. I had end of day right below it. So my first trade was a short play. So, basic criteria, fall below the 50, reject 54309, fall below the 50, come up, retest PDH, right? In end of day, right? That right there, I have to take that. That's my edge. I'll take that every single day of the week, right? Rip in, I'm short, my stop's outside the 50. I have a clear spot to define my risk. I got a clear spot to define my entry. I'm in it. Price was ripping down, and then we got this really large move to the downside here. Great play. I scaled out half my position and then gave some of mine back on the way up, but it was still a really good short play, right? And these are the trades. I mean, we can't control ourselves from this, but one thing I want to point out here is it's the snapback. The snapback, like when you get the violent sell-off and you're very extended from the 9 in the EMA cloud, you gotta remain aware of that. Darren did a phenomenal job trading this and scaling out right here. Darren, you want to break down your trade?
Yeah. So I mean, I saw the EMA cross early in the day. What was this? I mean, what is the second, third candle of the day?
Right
and
here.
And you know, third candle of the day is when that's when I was like, okay, I'm looking for a short entry. Then I waited for the 5-minute candle. I wanted to see another candle close, and we came back and retested all 3 EMAs.
Yeah.
And at that point, I waited until I saw a little bit of an upside wick on that candle, and that's when I entered short. Really, my profit target was 538.50.
Yeah.
That's where I went long the other day. That's where I wanted to target.
Yeah.
And then I took like 60% of my profits at the bottom of that huge red candle, and then I waited until we came back across the EMAs, and then I stopped out of the rest of my position.
Didn't you add on that end of day retest